All right. Hey, Chelsea, Pasita, good to see you. We got a good group, small but powerful. All right, so let's get going on week two. So this week is kind of labeled quality management system, but it's really process maps. That's kind of more so what this week is going to be all about. So, who has a safety moment so that we can get rocking? Who has a safety moment for us today?
I have a
We
kind
got,
of funny one.
yeah.
Don't stick your finger in the machine while it's running, even if it looks like it would be fun.
Okay. I think I've heard something like "Don't put your hand where you wouldn't put your tongue." I've also heard a little bit more vulgar version of that. But what is the story behind this, Chelsea?
We had, and this she's an excellent employee. I don't really know what was happening, but she's
Yeah.
ran this machine for years. She was wearing her gloves like she was supposed to. She had all her PPE on, and for some reason, she just noticed this part of the machine that she had never really looked at before. And the way it works is there's a couple of mechanisms that kind of, when they pull the parts down, it kind of pulls out, and then it kind of flips back in. And she was like, "Oh, well, I'll just kind of slide my finger on there while it flips back in." She's like, I don't even know what I was doing, but it caught her glove and it cut her finger open.
Oh my
So she
gosh.
comes in my office and she's crying and she's like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I literally just looked at it and I put my finger in it. Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't understand either, but let's go get your finger looked at.
Yeah. Yeah. I my grandpa worked on a farm. I got something similar to that, and we had the the my brain wagons, the loads and everything like that. And we were on a incline, and I ripped out the pin, and the wagon came loose. And I mean, we're talking probably several tons worth of thing going towards the tractor. I was sitting between it and the tractor, and I tried to stop it with my hands. Luckily, somebody was by me and said, "Get the hell out of the way," and I jumped out. But I think Chelsea, I think what it is sometimes we just don't think, and especially when we're doing high safety things, we got to make sure to use our brains because sometimes our bodies just take over. So excellent. I mean, not so excellent. Is the person's finger okay? It sounds like it was just a scratch.
She was out for a little while. It was quite a
Okay.
chunk of skin, and then it got infected and things. But she's good now. That was like
Ooh.
6 months
Okay.
ago,
Well,
so
good. She's
she's
good now.
recovered. Yep.
All right. Well, as far as safety moments go, that's an excellent one. Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, Anthony. I don't know if you go by Anthony or Tony. I didn't see if I looked at the you go by. I apologize.
It don't matter. Anthony and Tony, it
Okay.
don't matter.
Okay, well, let me know if you get upset. I'll probably call you Anthony because that's what I see your name. But if you want
It
me to
don't it
start
don't
calling
it
you
don't matter.
Tony,
I'm
all
good with
right,
it.
all right, cool. So a lot of you filled out your about me section. This one doesn't really push too hard about like what industry you might be in, but from what I saw, Chelsea is overseeing in somewhat safety products. So you're having quality management there. Pasita, you're not involved in the quality management of healthcare, but you are aware of it. Rolanda, you didn't say where you were, which is absolutely fine, but it sounds like you do kind of have a lot to do with quality. I think you said that you actually observe the quality control process. Then Cassandra, I think my understanding you're military and you do you understand quality, but maybe from a military standpoint, I think you actually had said understanding from oh my goodness, what is it called? The general populace. I know there's a civilian, right? And then Anthony, I think you said JD Finish Line. You're overseeing quality. So there's probably a lot more in our class than this, but this is kind of what I have written down. Anything, Anthony? See you going off mute.
No, yeah. I actually I work for Johnson Controls currently too as well in the fire
Okay.
HVAC. But I use JD Finish Line because I was in e-commerce for 14 years and I oversaw a lot of that over there.
Okay.
So I had a lot more hands on than I'm with Johnson Controls. So yeah.
Okay. Great. Cool. So this is what we're going to do this week, and let's get to it. I got a lot to go through. So as far as the learning summaries, what I'd like to tell you how the supporting documentation can help you for your homeworks. So This is Quality Management by Peter, I don't know, Mosh, something like that. This is so your assignment this week is all going to be all about process maps. You're going to have one written paper, and then you're going to have one where you're creating the actual process itself, and you're going to have a discussion. So this goes through the characteristics of a process, why process maps are needed, the requirements. I mean, this is pretty helpful and on point for everything you're going to be doing for assignment 1. Quality Management Systems Guide. I would not suggest that this is a very strong, helpful on your homework, but it is an excellent discussion of quality management systems. And we will talk about quality management systems throughout the course. So you could definitely read through it. I'm not saying it's not helpful for the course, but as far as your homework help, it focuses on the QMS, which is somewhat of a process map, but it doesn't focus on process maps. Process mapping tools and techniques. Again, this is a great resource for homework 1. It pretty much goes through every point that is required for homework 1. So if you want to read through that, it'll give you a lot of help for homework 1. This one as well. This one's the Mark Smith process mapping. It's more meant for ISO, but again, it gives you an ISO version of process mapping, which again is very helpful. So this one, the process mapping, waste, and identification is my favorite. So these 3, the process mapping tools and techniques, process mapping, and process mapping and waste identification are all very helpful for homework 1. If you want to get a diversity of experience, you can read all 3. But if you're only going to read one, my opinion is this one. It goes through the process mapping kind of more similar to what I'm going to be presenting. This one's a good resource. The only thing that was weird about the microsave is based on this company's experiences, which pros and cons. It gives you real world case studies, but it doesn't maybe help you for the broader experiences, but still a good one. All right, so those are the learning summaries. Week 1 homework. You all did pretty well. There were a few misses, which was what happens. Kind of my experience is I might be a little unique for Indiana Tech classes because I require very specific things in my assessments. I've always thought Indiana Tech gives very broad, ambiguous instructions for the homework, and I think that's created homework in the past that has too much variety. So I try and say, this is exactly what I want. So sometimes week 1 is a learning curve. People are learning that this is how I grade. But other than that, I mean, I think you guys did pretty good. But before I go on, do we have any questions about week 1 homework or week 1 concepts, the introduction to quality management gurus and the evolution? Any questions on that? What questions do we have? Yeah, Monique.
I have a question. Okay, when you graded my PowerPoint, you said that it was too much visual content over notes. Is that what you meant? I mean,
so the assignment was to create a video or embed your audio, or put the information in the notes, exactly what you were going to say. But Monique, you actually did really good. The only thing that you missed, honestly, was a comparison. That's all you missed. So all you would have to do is send me back this with a slide that compares the TQM, Six Sigma, ISO, and then more if you want, but compares all 3 of those. You have 1 or 2 slides with the notes, and you'll get all your points back. Does that make sense, Monique?
yes, it does. Thank you very much.
No,
Thank
of course.
you.
So that comparison is like 30 points to your grade, but it only requires, Monique, like 1 or 2 slides. So it should be pretty easy for you to get those points back. But thank you for asking. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to assume there's none, but we can always go back if we need to. All right, so key phrase number 1 for those that are listening to virtually, or the recording, sorry. Assignment 1 is a paper with a citation. So assignment 1, the requirement is a paper. So let's go through the quality management. Quality management system is. Any answer is okay, but please do answer so we can move forward. I'm not going to move forward until somebody gives me something. So what do we think a quality management system is?
I think that a quality management system is a way that they manage the quality. Is the way that
Okay.
quality is managed. It's a
Yep. And
particular way.
go ahead, Monique. Sorry.
No, that's how it was. It's a particular way that the quality is managed in a system. Well, let me see how I should say
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it's a really hard word to define without using the terms quality management system, right? Because Monique's right. That's pretty much what it does. It defines what you're going to do to manage your quality. Tools and resources an organization uses to maintain and improve quality. Great. Janae, what do you have?
What I was gonna say, basically, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
What I was gonna say, I was just gonna pretty much making sure that the service is good and consistent, and it meets the requirements of whatever procedure needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's correct. It's a system that makes sure that what you produce meets the requirements of what you're producing. Yeah.
Yes, so
I think
for an example, with that would be like quality planning, making sure like everything is laid out and everything is like going in a certain accord or a certain order, so the product becomes successful.
so. The only thing I'm going to disagree with there is the product focus. The quality management system is the whole company. Your whole company's quality management system, right? But
Oh, so
you're
it's not
right.
focused on the product.
Well, it is. If your company makes a product, it's going to be heavily involved in how you support that product. Yes.
Right.
But it is the whole organization. And
Oh, the whole organization, not just the product.
yeah. So it's the organization's operating system for how work gets done. Janae, what you said is probably correct. The only thing I wanted to say is that the development of a product, like if let's say you're making gum, chewing gum, the production line of the chewing gum is going to be one or more systems or processes within whatever company you'd have doing the quality management system. Does that make sense? So one of the systems is going to be making a product, but some of the systems are going to be like payroll, RFIs, maintenance. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody's doing great, right? So thank you. So it defines how processes are designed, how work is performed, how quality is checked, how improvements are made. And it can be a visual, but it's not only a document, right? So quality management system, there might be documents that define it, but it's really the whole overarching system of processes, people, and rules. So thank you all for, I think it was 4 or 5 of you. Thank you for giving me your definition of quality management system. I appreciate it. Everybody was pretty much right on the dot of what it is. It's just a system that ensures your organization is producing what it wants. Another thing I would say too is a quality management system. It's really building to whatever the organization says is important, right? Now, hopefully, if that meets with an OSHA, EPA, everything that's supposed to be happening. But it really is the organization's choice of what they're measuring and what they're doing. So let's see a visual version of kind of so why do organizations use it? I think this is pretty clear, but I think what is measured is what is measured is what you get. I know there's a way better way of putting that. I think I even talked about it last week. But if you're not measuring something, you're not going to understand your results. You're not going to get consistent results. So organizations use quality management systems to deliver consistent results, right? Meet customer and regulatory issues, any issues that they have, any overarching requirements that they have, reduce errors, waste, reduce rework, consistency, right? Without a QMS, it would be done differently. And quality would be dependent, maybe not on luck, but a little bit more on the individuals and their ability to do a good quality product versus using the knowledge of the industry as a whole, the organization as a whole, as creating processes. So it includes policies, processes, procedures, roles and responsibilities, records, and feedback loops, right? Plan, do, check, act. So I'm going to go through some of this quickly, but you do have this PowerPoint available to you if you'd like to look at it more. So they work together to create a system. And this is the plan, do, check, act of continuous improvement that your QMS feedback loop should be going through, right? So the quality management system defines the plan, describes what you're supposed to do, describes the outline of success or check, and then it has a continuous review act. All right, so ISO is one of the strong players in quality management, right? It is the kind of world-renowned organization that ensures you're doing things the way you're supposed to. And it groups the QMS processes into 3 categories. So you have core processes, right? That is the work that delivers the value to the customer. So Janae, you said the product development is going to be one of your core processes. Supporting processes, that's going to be the work that enables the core processes to work. And then management processes, the work that guides, measures, improves the system, right? And so let's see the image here. So here we have management processes, MPs, and it shows the roles and responsibilities of management, how you do your resource management, how do we choose our products, and then how do we improve. And then here, this is for a renewables project, construction project, you have your core processes, right? Then you have your supporting processes as well. So I'm going to pause here. I think quality management system, it seems like you all get it. It's somewhat intuitive. But does anybody have any questions? What questions do you have on quality management systems? And if you don't have any questions, just put in the chat, no questions, give me a thumbs up, whatever, and I'll keep rocking. But does anybody have any questions on the quality management systems? So if you don't mind, somebody put nope, no question, or give me a thumbs up, and I'll keep rocking. Beautiful. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Anthony. All right. So now we're going to transition into what your homework is going to be. Janae, did you have a question, or were you just saying you're good? So you went off mute. Okay. So process maps are going to be, each one of these has kind of a process map showing how the work actually flows, the steps, decisions, handoffs, spot waste, delays, bottlenecks, train people consistently improve processes using data. So this right here, if we look at our sales, right here, sales and contract review, that's going to have a flow map. And this is one of the types of process maps, right? And so each process shown is going to have, how does that process work, right? And then once we actually start getting, and we'll talk about what these things are, once we start actually getting into some of these different outputs, you're actually going to have the physical documents that are produced, or the physical products that are produced within your process. All right, so how does this connect with this week? So in this week, we're going to describe what process maps are and why they matter, right? And you're going to create a process map. So understanding what a QMS is and how it works, it gives you the context. Like it tells you, where is my process map feeding into all this? So QMS is hugely important, but really it's not going to be too much any of your assignment. Your assignment is going to be more this, the process flow map. But understanding the QMS does help. All right. So for those listening to the recording, we're going to get to our key phrase number 2. Assignment 2, right? You're going to develop a process map model. You do not need to write anything other than the model. Only the model has to have words. You don't have to give me a paragraph. You don't have to give me anything, right? You don't even have to give me citations, because I'm going to be able to check it for accuracy. So the model doesn't require any written summary, any citations, anything like that. So without further ado, let's get to our process mapping. So a process map, we kind of showed you here. This is something that's a process map, right? So it is a visual diagram that shows you how work actually happens. Now, what I would suggest that the people in the class do right now is think about the project that you've chosen, right? So this is a list of what people have chosen. So think about your process, right? And ask me questions if you have them, because your assignment 2 is going to be creating one of these processes. So as we move forward, think about your process and how does what I'm saying apply to that, because that's going to be one of your assignments. So the process identifies the steps. When you do process mapping, it identifies the steps in the process, the order that the process occurs, the decisions required for the process, the inputs for the process, and the outputs for the process. And then the people or functions is going to be a little lesser version, but definitely that. So process map makes invisible work visible. Like sometimes things are so intuitive. This is just what we do. This process map makes those intuitive things shown so you can understand, improve, and standardize. Quality management systems, a lot of this is about standardization. So why does it matter? Very similar to the quality management system. What you measure, right, is what's going to be successful. So it ensures that you can identify what the process is and then do that plan, do, check, act, right? We can also go back to that. Process maps are required to be able to formalize our plan, do, and then making sure we know what we're supposed to do so we can check it, and then giving us an understanding of feedback loop so we can act upon that. All right, so process maps typically include, and this is the process map that I'm going to show you, there are a lot of different process maps, but the kind of flow diagram that I'm going to show you include all of these things. So process maps don't all have to include these, so I apologize, that's too all-encompassing. But for your homework, the process maps must include a start point and end point, the different steps in the process, decision points, yes, no, or pass, fail, inputs, outputs, how the process moves, and standard symbols. Now, some of these are in all process maps, and that's part of your homework 1 is define different process maps. But all of this is required for your homework 2, where you are creating the process map for your chosen company and process. All right. So the standard process mapping symbols you'll see here, and this is what we're going to get into our homework. And I'll explain these when we talk about different types of process maps as well. So you have your process steps in the process, decision points, input, output, and then input, output of documents, input, output of multiple documents, input, output of processes, input, output of database. So I'm going to show you what that might look like. And I'm sorry, this is a weird animation. I did a poor job. So here's what it might look like. So you have a start, and then you start your step 1, then you do your step 2. Step 2 has this process and this database that feeds into it. And then you have a decision. Maybe it's a quality decision. Does this output meet specs? Yes or no? Does this require further, a lot of steps are, hey, if this is between 0 and 100,000, it requires your project executive, 100,000 of 5 million director, over 5 million vice president, right? That can be a decision. But there's a decision, and then you have the steps, and then you have outputs. And then this is also an output. So this is what it's going to look like. All right, so good process mapping techniques are, you want to have it steady, but I don't even always follow this, and I'm not going to grade you harshly on this first one. But if you can, have all the inputs on the left and all the outputs on the right will give you a smooth thing. Use verbs to start each step. Review order, inspect materials. It's an actionable item, right? If your step is inspection report, that's not a step, that's an output. And you shouldn't have paragraphs. You don't need to explain your steps. That's not what this is for, right? Keep the steps at the same level of detail. Use one decision per diamond. Flow left to right or top to bottom. Avoid crossing arrows, and use consistent spacing and alignment. So that's for assignment 2. If you run out of room with the PowerPoint, use this next page item. So I will give you a PowerPoint template. You do not have to use it. It is okay if you don't. But from my experience, unless you're really strong with something else, I would suggest you use it. So I'm going to send you this. And my suggestion is that you use this unless you're really good at doing something else. But this is a support that I have sent you through your announcements that you're able to modify. I've also sent you, and let's see if I can open it really quick. In the announcements, I also sent you this video. If the video doesn't work, let me know and I'll help you. But this video, see here, is going to show you kind of how to create a process, right? So I did a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And this shows you how to develop a process of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in a PowerPoint. So those two things are given to you in the announcements. But if you don't want to use that, it's not going to count against you. I've just seen that sometimes people struggle with this. So software that you can use is PowerPoint, Lucidchart, Microsoft Visio. I actually do think this is the best, and there's a lot of other there. So common mistakes that people use when creating their processes is that their steps are too vague or their sentences. If they make their inputs or output steps missing decision points, or you're not using the correct symbols. So, for example here, you see you have your database and process here in the flow. That's incorrect. What's going to be correct is having your database and process as inputs. That's going to be correct. So, I hope I've explained this. Does anybody have any questions? And I'm going to get more into detail and give you more examples. But do you guys understand what's going to be expected of you in assignment 2? Does anybody have any questions on assignment 2? When I say, so assignment 2 is going to be build a process for your build a process map for your chosen process. So Anthony, you're going to build a loan application approval process from what you can find online that Bank of America does, right? Carla, patient intake and triage for what Mayo Clinic does. Monique, what do you do? Monique, where are you, Monique? Oh, there you are. The passport application process, if I understood you correctly, from the U.S. Wait, no, darn it. Is that right? I think that's what he said. No, or did you say UPS? Sorry, Monique, what did you say?
I said UPS.
Okay. Cool. So I got UPS. But anyway, what questions do you guys have? Is this making sense what I'm expecting for assignment 2? Or what questions do you have? And I have more examples if you're like, well, I need to get into it before I have questions. But does any, okay. Got the thumbs up from a couple people. Let's keep rocking. Okay. So this is the steps that I suggest for creating a process map. Step 1, identify your boundaries. So for our package delivery process, right? What is my boundaries? Where am I going to start this process? Where am I going to end this process? Right? For example, for the package delivery process, do I really want to go all the way to getting to somebody's house? Probably not. I probably want to stop once the package goes into the shipment phase, right? Where do I want to start? Do I want to get it started when somebody asks a request at the store or at their house? Probably not. I want to, where is my boundaries? Where do I want the boundaries of this process? So that's step 1. Step 2, identify the elements. What are the steps in the process? And for the homework there, you're going to have a minimum of 10 steps for your process. Then identify the inputs and outputs. What is triggering each step? What does each step produce? Identify decisions. A minimum of 1 decision is required. And then map the process. So I would suggest, and I don't know if I follow through on this in my video, but not jumping to map the process. And here, I'll show you what I mean, how you could do it. So this is going to be a manufacturing process. And I'm going to show you kind of how you might do that. So the first thing we're going to do is identify the boundaries. So the boundaries I'm going to do is the customer's order and then shipping the material. So this right here starts after we have received the customer's order and it ends right before we ship the material. So now I'm going to identify what are the steps in this, right? So we need to receive the order, design it, purchase materials, inspect materials, return defect materials, build the customer spec, build to the customer spec, inspect to the customer spec, scrap or repair defective customer spec if it doesn't meet this customer spec, ship the product. Now, I would argue that I just did not follow my own rule, and I think you maybe can. Well, I guess I said customer order is the start, but I think really the start probably should, well, I say receive customer order. And then ship product should probably be better defined as prepare product for shipping, right? Because the shipping of the product is out of this. This is not in my blue process boundaries, right? The customer order starts the process and it ends getting prepared to ship the product. But let's continue. So now I'm going to identify what are my inputs and outputs. So for receive customer order, I've identified that the order receiving process is going to be an input. The subcontract execution process is going to be an input. For the design, the engineering process is going to be an input. The purchase materials, the procurement material process is going to be an input. The output is going to be an inspection report. The output is going to be an inspection report. And I don't know if I put it, yes, I did. The output is going to be the delivery process. So I've identified my boundaries. I've identified my steps. I've identified my inputs and outputs. Now I'm going to identify my decisions. Design. Is a design required? Yes or no? Does the inspection pass? Yes or no? Does the inspection pass? Yes or no? So those are my decisions. So then I map the process. So I get my order from the customer. I ask, do I need a design? Yes or no? I buy materials, inspect materials. Are the materials acceptable? Yes or no? Then I build the material, inspect the materials. Is the inspection acceptable? Yes or no? And then I ship the product, right? Again, honestly, I don't love what I did here. I think that this should be a little different, but hopefully this helps. So then I add my decisions. Is the design acceptable? Yes. Then I design the specs. Or is the design required? Yes. And I design the specs. No, I go ahead and just buy the materials without having to design. Is the inspect materials acceptable? No. If it's not, I return the materials and I go back to the process to buy the materials again. Yes, I build the material. Inspect materials. Are they acceptable? No, I either scrap it and have to go all the way back to buying the materials, or I can repair it and then I have this repair process, or yes, it's acceptable and I ship the product. Now I add my inputs and outputs. So I said I had my ordering process, my contracts, my engineering, my procurement process, and then I had my inspection report, and the delivery process. So you can make this a lot cleaner than I showed here. I would not give any points off for this. Let's see if I would. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 processes. That meets it. There's one question, and there's at least, I don't know how many inputs, outputs. I forget. I think I had 2 inputs and outputs. So you would get full points on this, but this isn't the prettiest way I could have presented it. Here's a hiring example. So what I would have bound by my hiring example is and I guess I probably should have had an input process of the hiring manager requesting, because that's how I bound it. But the bound looks like receiving the application to hiring the person. And right here we see that the process is review applications, choose 3 to 6 interviews, have a HR call, then do a round 2 call, and then offer the hire to whoever our choice is. Again, this is a little ugly. I maybe could have done this better, but what this is we have our job description as an input, viable applicants as an input. So what we're going to do is we're going to review application. Do I have more than 3 applications? No, I need to get more applicants. And I go back to the viable applications, right? Or I probably should have done this is moved it up to the top. And actually I'm going to do that, even though it's going to be a little ugly, because I did what I just told you not to, which is create is to have your input or output part of the process. So this is what it should be. So no, I need to get more applicants and start this over again. Yes, I choose 3 to 6 interviewees. And then I have a round 1H call. Did I get more than 3 viable people through that? No, I need to get more applicants. I need to start over again. Yes, I have a round 2 operations call. And then I offer the preferred hire of the role. Did they accept? Yes, go to hire. No? Okay, second choice. Did they accept? Yes, go to higher. No? Okay, third choice. Did they accept? Yes, go to higher, right? And then all of these would result to a job offer. Again, this isn't perfect. I probably should have had job offer out. Do they accept? It'd be really clunky. But this is another example. So this is what it can look like. So what is the assignment requirements? At least 10 processes, at least 1 decision, and then I think I have at least 2 inputs and 2 outputs. And you'll get extra credit if you use every single image here. I will give you 5 points, 10% extra credit if in your model you're able to use every single one of these symbols. All right, and then another thing too that I'm showing you, I didn't do a very good job of it, but the way to do a clean transition if you're doing PowerPoint, one acceptable way to do it so that you're not shoving everything in there is to use this next page button. So then you don't have to like go and then have another row. You just go to the next page and then flow to the next page. So, screw my animations. I did a poor job. So what is the requirements for Module 2, Assignment 2? Accuracy, professional presentation, and realism. So is it accurate? 20 points. 10 steps, 1 decision, 2 inputs, 2 outputs, 20 points. And that doesn't make sense logically in the process structure, 10 points. So 30 points, right, to make sure that it's right. And then 20 points to make sure that it's thorough. 10 steps, 1 decision, 2 inputs, 2 outputs. What questions do you have? If you don't have any questions, feel free to give me a thumbs up, but we don't need to rush through this. This is a more difficult assignment I found. What questions do you have? I'm always available, and I try and respond as soon as I can to questions, but does anybody have any questions right now in the class on assignment 2? Anybody have any questions? Rolanda, you're good. Thank you. No questions. Chelsea. Okay, cool. Yes, Anthony, what's up?
No, never mind. I meant to hit thumbs up. Never mind.
You're good. So this is something that you can read through yourself, but it gives you my rubric. This is also in the Indiana Tech rubric, and it's also in the PowerPoint I sent. So I'm not going to read through this all, but it does give you the different scorings. All right. And then Module 2's discussion. I would suggest that for the discussion, the question is choose an organization or project that you're familiar with. You can use anything you want, but I mean, you're already doing your practice one. Maybe do your assignment and then write about this, but you don't have to. Strongly suggest, but you don't have to. But because you're going to already identify the key processes and quality requirements. So why not just use that? Again, you don't have to. But how am I going to grade your discussion going forward? I'm going to reduce the peer response points to 5. I find that the peer responses, I've done 15 points, but I find that that's not incredibly productive. A lot of things that people do when they're doing the peer is like, oh yeah, this was great. I see why you did this, 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 and this. And that's not a huge, I think, benefit to your learning. So it's reduced to 5 points. But what we're going to do is have a discussion on your product, services, and their attributes. So do you understand what the products and services or whatever you do is for your process, and what that you understand the key processes and quality requirements? And for the discussion, I'm going to lean in on giving me a thoughtful response versus giving me a technically accurate response with citations. You can do citations, but the discussion is for you to discuss. It's not for you to write a paper, right? So I really want to see that you're understanding kind of what this asks. And again, you can read this on your own, but these are the grading scales for the discussion. All right. So one other thing, discussions can't use AI and no citation is required. I got a feeling people might be using AI for the discussion. Cards on the table. It's really hard for me to catch AI in the discussions because they're so short. So I don't like telling you this. If it really smells like AI, I'm going to probably give you a 0. But this is more of a request. Right? Try not to use AI. Try to do the discussion yourself. Assignments, you can have AI to support you. Just a reminder, you can't have the AI write it, but you can have it support you. For discussions, I would really ask, you can use AI to tell you what is the summary of these readings, what do you think the process steps are, but I really want for your discussion, I want you to be writing that. And no citation is required. All right, so now we're going to get into, and I'm seeing that maybe I did this backwards and I apologize. So now we're going to get into the types of maps that are out there. So this is going to be more so your assignment 1. So assignment 1 is going to ask you all about process maps. Assignment 2 is going to ask you to do a process map of your own. So what kind of process maps do we have? Now, what I'm going to show you are not all of the process maps that are out there, but they're the ones that I think are the most important. You don't have to only write about these. If you find a different process map that you like, that's absolutely fine. But here's the most common. So we have a CPOC or CPOC. We have a high level. We have a detailed flow map, which this is what the homework is going to be, a detailed map. A detailed map is what the homework is going to be. Or a flow chart, which is a slightly different thing. There's a swim lane map, a value stream map, and an activity map. So let's go through and look at what these are. Now, your assignment number 1 is going to be defining at least 4 of these maps. So let's go through. So a CPOC is suppliers, inputs, process steps at a high level, outputs, and customers. So you want to use a CPOC when defining a process for the first time. It's high level. When scoping a process. When clarifying who provides what to whom. Is it the suppliers, inputs, process steps, outputs, customers? You see that there's a lot of similar steps to the other map I showed you, but it's like a higher level. And this is probably going to be only for your production. It shows you the big picture without getting lost in the details. So let's look what a CPOC means, right? So we see here that it has our suppliers, our inputs, our process, our outputs, our customers, and requirements. Now, I would argue that once you actually do your process map, this CPOC diagram is probably going to have several processes. But this is probably going to be, especially if you are in a production-based company, right? You're going to use this to understand your core thing that you do, right? So this core thing that a car dealership does is sells cars. So they talk about selling cars. If your core thing that you do is creates shoes, that's going to be your process. If your core thing you do, whatever, that's how you're going to kind of use a CPOC, and then you're going to understand everything that supports it. All right, we're going to need a little bit quicker quick fire, unless you have questions, which is fine, but I'm going to check in at every map. Does anybody have any questions, or what questions do you have for the CPOC? Any questions?
All right, can I get clarification?
Yes.
For assignment 1, you said we need to write a process map. Sorry, let me go back to my.
All right. So yes. So I've done.
And these are the processes, right? That you're reviewing.
Process assignment 1. Assignment 1. You're going to do this. So you're going to explain the benefits of a process map. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to say the steps in building a process map. Then you're going to describe 4 different types of process maps. And then you're going to tell us, how do we select the correct process map, right? So this is what you're going to do for assignment 1. So assignment 1, I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 process maps. And I'm going to show you why you might use them and how to build them. And that's assignment 1. Assignment 2 is focusing on your process and actually building a detailed map. So actually building this. Now, I interrupt you a little, Susanna. Did I answer your question, or did you have a follow-up on that?
Yes, I think, yeah, I just wanted clarification. And the process assignment 2 is we're actually going to choose the correct process based on what our project is, right?
So,
based on what we chose as our project. So this week, we're only going to focus on the process.
So this week, you're going to only focus on the process. Yes.
Yes.
And I might have screwed this up. Did you pick a new hire onboarding
Yeah.
process? Okay.
Yes.
So you're going to do for assignment 1.
Can I
This
ask
is
a
for everybody.
follow-up
I want to repeat
question?
this.
I'm so sorry. I work in healthcare and I wondered which one would be more relatable to choose. So I mean, I chose based on what I thought would be interesting to me, and I chose the Amazon new hiring onboarding process. What would you recommend? I work in healthcare. I'm an assistant to executive leaders.
I would probably suggest that you do what you're more familiar with or what you're more excited about.
Okay, then I'll stick to this one. Thank you. Sorry. This was
No, you're okay. But
unrelated.
you're good. Assignment 1, I've kind of given you the what is a process map. I've given you why do we care about a process map, right? And I've kind of given you some steps. And then my presentation didn't flow like it should have. I'm sorry. I should have had different process maps next, because the next part of the assignment is what are the different process maps for assignment 1, and then what does each one do, and then how do you pick it, right? So that's assignment 1. Assignment 1 is not based on the process you've chosen. It is totally ambiguous or ambivalent to that, right? It is based on research you're doing. Review these questions and give me an answer. And it's a written assignment. That's assignment 1. Assignment 2 is taking the detailed map that I've shown you and creating this that is specific to your assignment. So assignment 1, or your process, assignment 1, like I have in my notes here, see where I have it. My key phrase, assignment 1 is a paper with citations about process maps. Assignment 2 is the model of your process. Thank you so much, Susanna. I want to check in with everybody. Does that make sense to everybody, that what assignment 1 and assignment 2 requirements are? Does everybody understand that? So assignment 1 is a written paper about process maps. And then assignment 2 is applying what you've learned to develop your detailed process map. Does that make sense? Okay, a lot of thumbs up. Good deal. Sweet. Cool. Thank you, Susanna, though, for asking. All right. So this is a CPOC. All right. So now we have a high level or top down. That's going to have 5 to 7 major steps in the process with no decisions, no branching or details. This is when you want to give it to leadership, new team members. This is when you want a really simple view of it. It's very clean. So this right here could be a potential high level or top down. Now, the reason they call it top down is because you can see you have top down, right? And it gives you a high level what the processes are. And then I just got this from the internet, but it looks like it's an IVF laboratory. And then it has your sub processes. So it's a high level process map. Then we have a detailed process map, which is slightly different than a flow chart. The detailed process map is what I'm using for assignment 2, and is a step-by-step map showing actions, decisions, input, outputs, and sequence work. So when do you use it? When documenting the process for each training. When you want the details, you'll get the detailed process map, right? And so this is the only allowable map for the course project. You can use other maps, but your process map looks like, oh no. All right. Did I get everybody back? Or no? I think I lost you all. Oh no. Yes, I did. Okay. I'm thinking you're not getting a visual. That's not good. Son of a gun. I think I'm gonna have to log on and log off again.
We are still on the flow chart.
Okay. Do
We
you
can
see
view your, yeah.
Do you see a flow chart now or no? Do you see a new
Just the
slide?
wording,
No,
when
it
to
says
use it.
detailed process.
Okay. Here, let's go again. Share my screen. I'm so sorry, everyone. I don't have the greatest internet. I live in rural Illinois. Okay. Sorry. So, detailed process map. And then a flow chart. The biggest difference from the detailed process map is the process map is really showing the decisions as well. The flow chart doesn't really show the decisions. It just shows the flow. All right, I'm going to stop there again, especially because we had that internet issue. Do we have any questions? Anybody have any questions on CPOC, high level, top down, detailed, or flowchart maps? Pasita, do you have any questions?
Yes, just to clarify, we're using for the project and for assignment 2, it's a flow chart we should be using out of all the different
A
process
detailed
maps.
process map, because we need to
Detailed
make sure we have decisions. And the detailed
Okay.
process map, they both have the similar symbols, and they're very similar. The only thing you would miss if you did the flowchart, Pasita, is the decision, right? You need to have that decision. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
That does. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. All right. Then you have a swim lane map. I really like the swim lane map. The swim lane map shows who owns what, right? So it kind of gives you that flow chart, but it gives you as in who owns what. So this is a pizza place, and this is the service department. This is the prep table. This is the dough. This is the storage, stove, fridge, oven. And it tells you who, it goes through the process and tells you who might do it. So this is showing kind of the process of a pizza and the different stages. Where do you think a swim map might be useful for your company? That isn't the stages that you would be building something. Where do you think a swim lane would do really well in the process? I have a specific answer, and I can answer if you don't, but give me a shot. What do you think? Swim lane. What do you see this really being good at for a swim lane map? What do you guys think? Why would this be good? Identifying different areas of ownership. What do you think? Give me a guess. Why do you think a swim lane would be advantageous? All right. What is this identifying? Right? It's identifying the different stages. What if I had a company with a multi-departmental process? What does this do well if you have several different departments? What is a swim lane going to do really well telling you? Exactly. So it's really identifying who owns each thing. So the swim lane is going to be great when you have multiple people or teams and you want to isolate, hey, this is the operations team. This is the HR team, right? It really clearly shows you, yes, stay in your lane. Exactly. So, all right. Then we have a value stream map. To be honest, I can't tell you a lot about the value stream map. If you want to use the value stream map as one of your process maps, it is a strong tool for lean or Kaizen events that does a lot of strong things. But if you want to use this, you're going to have to research what it is. Because unfortunately, I'm not like a Six Sigma expert. So I'm not as familiar with value stream maps. But what it is doing, it is identifying the waste. Is anybody on this call? I thought somebody was a Six Sigma guru. Is anybody a Six Sigma certified person on this call? Would you explain what a value stream map is? Does anybody want to venture that? All right. I think we have somebody who's done Six Sigma. But the value stream map, right, that's for you to kind of figure out on your own if you want to use this. So choosing the right map depends on what you need to understand or improve, right? So if you're doing a CPOC, this is why you're doing it, right? High level, you're doing it when you need a simple overview. Detailed map, when you're documenting exact steps. Swim lane map, when multiple roles or departments are involved. Value stream map, when you're really putting a lot of resources in this and getting into the nitty gritty. So what is the assignment? In the very beginning of this class, yeah, what's up, Susanna? Ask me the question. If it's something I have to go back on, I will. So what is the
I was
assignment?
just gonna ask.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, is there a wrong, can we choose the wrong process? Because it looks like
You
all
can
the
present your
processes.
process incorrectly. So let's say you are doing the new hire onboarding process for Amazon. And somewhere in your process, you had the test if they could fly a helicopter. That is wrong. There is no way Amazon is going to hire somebody and have part of that test being flying a helicopter. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Do you
Okay,
have any
thanks.
follow-up questions on that?
No, that's clear.
Okay. So probably, I mean, you're probably going to be fine. And you don't have to do like hours and hours of research and call Amazon and figure out exactly what it is. But there are some wrong answers. All right. So assignment 1, we talked about in the beginning of this class, the benefits of process maps. And I gave you all the literature that you can go out and find for the benefits of process maps. Then steps in building a process map, right? You can use the steps I gave you if you want. You can build different steps. But what are the steps? Quality. Oh my God. I am so sorry. I don't know what's happening. We're almost at the end. I think you've got most of what you need. But that is the assignment 1. Yeah, I don't know why it's kicking me off. Thank you for letting me know. So I don't really have much of my left of my presentation. I provided to you in the announcements. Okay, here, I can screen share again. I don't know if it's the weather or what's happening, but my apologies. So that is the requirements, and I have detailed descriptions that you can look at on your own. But that's it. So I'm hopefully setting you up for success, explaining what the requirements are for assignment 1, a written paper, and then assignment 2 is the model. What questions do you have for your week 2 assignments that you want to go through? And remember,
Sorry, quick question.
yes, Susanna, please.
Assignment 2 is a PowerPoint. I was just reviewing the.
Yeah, so assignment 2 is this or this. I would suggest that you use a PowerPoint because I am giving you a PowerPoint. Let me see. I don't have it up anymore, but I'm giving you the symbols if you want to know on how to build it on PowerPoint. But if you wanted to go online and use Lucidchart or you wanted to find Microsoft Visio, you don't have to do PowerPoint. But again, Susanna, I'm not requiring, like, you don't need to show me all these steps. This is not what I'm asking. I'm only asking for this right here. This is literally all I want. And PowerPoint is one way of doing it. But if you find other ways of doing it, go ahead. But all I want is that image. Does that thumbs up? You're good? Okay.
Yes,
What are the
that's
questions?
perfectly.
Sweet, sweet. That is the end of the class. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this week the kind of, I don't know what all this is meant to be. So I'm going to send you the week 6 expectations, the final course project paper, and the week 6 test. I'll give you that this week. So you're kind of thinking about how is this all going to fit into the end. But yeah, that's the class. Hopefully I've educated you on process maps. That was the goal this week. Hopefully I've given you a really good understanding of how to create your detailed process map. I will stay on until you all leave. So feel free to leave, but I'm going to stay on if anybody has any questions. So have a great, safe week. If you need a one-on-one, I'm available. Hit me up. Always ask me questions. Some of you have been taking advantage of that. Feel free to ask me questions. So do take care and let me know if you have questions. Thank you, Susanna. Thanks, Pasita. Thank you, Rolanda. Have a good week. Thanks, Chelsea. Have a good week. Bye. Take care, Janae. All right, Anthony, do you have any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to end the meeting. It's just you and I left. Sometimes people step away. I don't know if you stepped away.
No, I don't have any questions. I'm sorry. It's this microphone. Sorry about that.
You are all good. You are all good. Have a good week, man. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
Bye bye.